welcome back to the Throttle Cable. I'm Rob and we're going to be doing a bit more work on the 996 today. I picked up some RSS semi-solid engine mounts, which were a lovely bit of kit. I'm going to be fitting them in, which is a pretty straightforward job. You've got to whip out the airbox, which is held in by a screw, and I've got to unbolt these from the bottom by supporting the engine. I can unbolt them, take the two bolts out the top, drop the new ones in. So hopefully it's going to be a nice straightforward job. The benefits are the engine moves less around in the car, so the dynamics of the car are improved. The negatives are NVH, noise, vibrations and harshness, so you may get a bit more noise in the cabin from them, but I kind of want a bit more noise because it's such a muted car. So I'm going to get them in and let you know what they're like. Cheers! Right, so first job is to get this airbox out. I put the car up on these blocks just to give me a little bit more room underneath. For the bolts I've got to get out, but you can see one of the engine mounts on this side, the other one is hidden under there, under the airbox. So to get the airbox out, it's dead simple. Release Jubilee clip, release Jubilee clip, release Jubilee clip. Yank that out of the way, it's just a bit of rubber. Undo one screw here. Underneath here there's a tab under the airbox. You just kind of pop the tab up and pull this out sideways, and these split into two parts. And then you pull out this cable, and there's a clip here and one more clip just down there, and these just simply kind of pull apart like that. That releases it. You know, I can probably start doing most of the job. Right now I need 2 hands for that, but yeah, it's literally a 5-minute job. So I'm just going to quickly whip that out and show you what we've got next. You join me back literally about 3 minutes later. The longest thing that took was opening the toolbox, but essentially yeah, the air tube thing is popped off the side. Hose is out. There's 3 clips. Unclip here, clip and a clip down there. Last thing to do is just to pop out the oil tube like that, and then this thing will just lift up and out. There's kind of 2 rubber bungs that some prongs pop into on the bottom, and that's literally all that locates it. So really that is the only thing that holds in this airbox if it wasn't for the hose. And that's it, dead simple, out it comes. So now I've got the engine supported, I'm going to go ahead and release the bolt, which you can see just up there. I'm going to put a bit of penetrating fluid on it as well, trying to help it out, but yeah, we should be able to crack it open without too much fuss, I'm hoping. I've got the breaker bar just in case it's difficult to get off. Okay, well it took the breaker bar to break it open, but one thing I would say is, if you look at that, you can see gap between the bolt and the frame that's holding the engine. Make sure you've got that gap. If you don't have that gap, your engine is not supported, so the weight should not be on that bolt as you're trying to undo it. You need to have a nice bit of space, so I can now drop that off with the engine held up on the jack stand. So bolts wise, it's just a matter of torquing up the tops to 25 Newton meters and the big nut on the bottom to 83. So a couple of torque wrenches, get it done. Okay, one side in, time to repeat it on that side. This side's out as well. One thing to note when you're putting the mounting in, just make sure this bar hasn't dropped too low. If it drops too low, the square on the bottom of the mount won't connect in here and it'll just start rotating. So just make sure you've only got, what, about 5 mil, maybe less. I know this looks bigger because of the camera angle, but there's not a lot of space under there. It should be quite close. If it drops too far, as I say, you're not going to be able to tighten the nut underneath the car. Right, both sides are now in. Let's be honest, I've not rushed this, and we are 45 minutes in, I think. Super easy job done. Job's a good one. Put the airbox back in and give it a spin. Right, everything is back together. I'm going to fire it up, take it for a little bit of a drive and see what a difference it makes. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting some change to the gear shift potentially. That's what I've read online. Then it makes it a bit more what people say, rifle bolt action, don't they? But yeah, it's just a bit more of a precise shift. Probably more vibration in here and a little bit less movement of the engine when we're driving. So objectively, I'm going to try and say what that feels like, but let's give it a go. Firing up the engine, it doesn't seem that much different. Maybe I can feel a little bit more vibration literally through the seat of my pants, through a little bit more vibration with through the seat. I'm going to swing the door open and see if I can hear anything outside too. Well, to my ears, it seems pretty much the same there. So let's go for a spin. Okay, just looking at the rev range now. So on tick over, there's a little bit more vibration. As soon as the revs rise between 1 and 2,000, that sort of goes away. There's a little grumble past the 2,000 RPM. You can kind of feel to the engine, if that makes sense. That's probably not the best way to describe it, but let's get it on the road and see. I mean, the engine's still cold right now, right? So it's not going to be settled down. Oh, okay, I can immediately feel a difference in the gear shift. So oil in the gearbox is cold, right? So I can feel it's a bit notchy at the moment because it's cold, but I can feel every little movement in there. It feels a bit more alive, the action. There's less play in it. Normally you've got a little bit of play in that shift. Second gear to third gear, you can feel yourself moving across the gate of the box more. To fifth, yeah, sixth, back to fifth, got down to fourth, got down to third. That is a lot nicer. I've heard people say it and I wasn't sure what to expect with the gear shift, if I'm honest, but that is actually quite a marked difference. I would liken it, albeit with a longer throw, to it's moved towards the gear shift in my 997 GT3. Honestly, it has. That's what it feels like. I'll be interested to take it on some longer. I'm just going around the block really now, but I'll be interested to take it on a longer drive. Might run it into work in the week and see what it's like when it's properly warmed up. But that's nice. Now I've got the tech equipment optional extra gear knob here, which is nice. It's nicer than the standard one, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a big fan of the shape of it. It's got a very flat top. The nicest gear knob, weird thing to say, the nicest gear knob I've ever found in a car was in a mini John Cooper Works GP. I had one of the original John Cooper Works GPs, and that touch point just made such a difference in your driving style. And it's just a sphere. There's no better gear knob shape than a sphere, in my opinion, which gets me thinking that needs or could make a difference to the car by changing the gear knob over for something that is spherical in shape and a bit of weight to it as well, just to make that gear shift a bit more slick. The action is superb now. I'm just doing a 3-point turn of the car. Come on, honey, where are you going? To head back down the road and pop it back on the drive. But yeah, it's really, really nice. Finding reverse is great. Back into first, off we go again. It feels really good. I think, bang for buck wise, that is a mega change to the overall feel of the car. You can't feel the engine rock or move or shake. It's just lovely. Right, the noise in the car, let's go for that. I don't feel any discernible difference to the noise and vibration that's coming into the cabin. I can feel an immediate change to the gear shift, obviously, but what everybody worries about is how much noise and vibration you're going to get right at the bottom of the rev range, where you never are really, unless you're pulling off from a standstill. There's a bit more vibration there, a bit, but this car is stock in terms of air intake and exhaust, so you'd really notice a change in this car because there's nothing to drown it out. And yeah, I mean, there's no real change there at all. Gearbox oil will be warming up a bit now. I can feel the gear shift getting more slick. You can really feel the notch as you're moving across the gate. It's a real difference. It's hard to explain unless you have a go on one of these back to back. And obviously, you know, I drove this yesterday with the standard mount, and I'm driving it today with this change. And I didn't expect the biggest change at the moment to be from the gear shift, but yeah, great. So the car is well warm now, and I've been driving around for 10-15 minutes. I've been having a bit of fun, and I can confirm it feels a lot nicer to drive. It feels better when you're driving spiritedly, let's say, and if the back end of the car gets a bit mobile, you don't have, I guess the way to put it is the same sort of weight transfer that you feel as the engine moves in the car. The gear shift is the marked change. It really is different. Once the gearbox has warmed up, you feel everything, and that gearbox across the gear change across the gate, I think this is a real top change to the car. It's really made a dramatic improvement, much more than I was expecting. I mean, let's be honest, I didn't quite know how much of a difference this was going to make. One of the main reasons I was thinking of doing it was because I'd read some really nice reviews online of what the difference it does make to the dynamics of the car and the precision of the gear shift. And yeah, it rings true with this. So I'm thinking maybe change the gear knob to something that's completely spherical and does a nicer job of the gear shift than this tech equipment one. A little bit of weight on that gear knob. It won't speed up the shift, but it will just make it a bit more slick as you're coming through because of that counterweight. I think this will be almost perfect. Originally I was thinking I wanted a shorter throw gearbox, but this is just a joy to use. Why would I change it now? It's made a hell of a change. Right, I'm almost back to my place now, so that's the end of this drive. But yeah, parting remarks. It's not a lot of money for a very big difference in driving enjoyment of your car, and that's what I'm all about, really. I don't really care about top to speeds and 0 to 60 times. It's about the enjoyment, and that really improves the interaction that I've got with the car. I think that is the best change. The car's done just clocked over 68,000 miles, so you know it could probably warrant having those rubber mounts changed anyway. So you could even look at it as a consumable parts change. The height of the exhaust tips that are exiting out the back of the bumper, I can also see there that they're now sitting slightly higher, somewhere between 5 to 10 mil higher. So that has, the mount has changed the tautness of the engine, how much it sags when it's under load. So, you know, I think all round this is a very positive change, and if you're thinking about doing it, get on and do it. It's brilliant. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that's useful and it gives you some sort of idea of the change, and yeah, look forward to doing a few more videos. Thanks guys, have a good weekend.